come to a Games Portal in Ringwood, Melbourne to chat to Andy about some recommendations for family games, a little bit of a buyer's guide, if you will. Do you get, in local game stores like Games Portal, do you get a lot of people coming in looking for family weight games?
Yeah, we often get people who are, might be board game enthusiasts themselves that's looking to rope in the rest of the family and find something that will work with somebody who hasn't necessarily played as much as them. Alternatively, we also get the people who the whole family are keen board gamers and just need something new on the list of things to play because they've played everything else they've got to death sort of thing. But yeah, it is something that people are often asking for, is the family option.
And yeah, I guess having that sort of, whether or not you are the traditional family unit or whether it's just friends of who play that sort of weight games, that these are sort of some recommendations we have for that. And to start off, we have Draftosaurus, which is a drafting game, as the name would recommend, with dinosaurs. Who would have thunk it?
Yeah, this game's it's good flavour. It's sort of my first draft in many ways. It's one that I've gotten my kids to play from, I think, had the first playing at 6 sort of thing, and given it to some of their families as some of their friends' families as a gift, and they've often found that it's a really good way to sort of start people out into gaming and learning the idea of what a draft game is. But it's good fun. Collect a bunch of dinosaurs.
Yeah, and play some on a map. I guess it also, if you're looking at a intro to drafting game, you've also got Sushi Go, which is a very popular game as well. But yeah, Draftosaurus is a lot of fun, and also the dinosaurs is probably going to be a little selling point for a lot of people. If we go into a sort of more complex games, but still have some family-friendly nature to them, we have Everdell, and we have here Farshore, which is the sort of newest iteration of Everdell. Tell us about Everdell.
Everdell is it's a good game it's very aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah, so it's a game that where there is tableau building. It's animal critters in their forest. For the original Everdell, they're on the shore here. So the art is very friendly and nice and beautiful. But there's quite a bit of game there as well. In there, with the tableau building and set collection.
Yeah, it's the sort of game that even if you're not winning, you can often set up your own goal. Will keep you satisfied with the game, where you kind of say, well, somebody else owns the game or is a more experienced gamer that will kind of find a lot of nuance to the game and can find a lot of detail in there and make it tricky for themselves. But a new player can sort of sit along and go, I'm happy just to collect the animals and the shapes and stuff, and they'll get a lot of satisfaction from collecting a set for themselves and filling out their own tableau as they go.
And if the base Everdell is any any indication, there will be some expansions coming along for this one. It's talking about a game that can change over time. We have My City, which is a legacy game where you're building a town or a city.
Yeah, it's sort of almost got a little bit of a Tetris feel to it, in that you've got a bunch of different shaped bits in your city that you've got to fit onto a board, and it's a good legacy game. And it starts out very, very simple. The first playthrough that you get is quick and easy, and each time you play a game, it adds a bit of complexity to it, and it makes your city a lot harder to build and goes from very easy to quite tricky pretty quickly.
Yeah, well, because what they were doing is, it had envelopes of, the rule changes for every 3 games or so, but it just tweaked the rules slightly that it kept you on your toes about how you were going to place your tiles, how you're going to build a city, how you stored points, and enough to sort of keep you going, let's just play one more game. I want to see how this rule change affects the goals, and then there's the overall campaign goals, which slowly become clear. They're not always obvious straight away.
Yeah, it's got a good balancing aspect in that sense too, because it's not always clear in which way it's going to go. So as they sort of have different developments that fit with the flavour of a city building up, I think some legacy games that aren't cooperative suffer from the fact that it can sort of snowball for one player, where if they win one round, they're better the next round and they keep getting better and better. Whereas this one, you kind of focus on doing one part of the game, and then all of a sudden it adds a new aspect that means that you might have been focusing on the wrong part of the game. So it ends up balancing out quite well by the end of it. And, you might have been winning a bit at the start, but you didn't necessarily win at the end.
Yeah, I mean, the campaign game is, there's a lot of game to play in this, and then you can replay it forever and ever. And then we move on to some bigger games because sometimes the family doesn't want to build a city, they want to build zoos. Or if you are more into space, you could terraform Mars, but with Ark Nova.
Yeah, Ark Nova's, I think, a brilliant game. It's got a bit of complexity to it, but it's the sort of game that once you've learnt how to play it, it's actually quite easy to play. It's just swallowing the first load of rules is a bit tricky, but it's got a lot going on for it in that similar sort of worker placement thing to My City, tile placement to My City, where you've got to fit all of your zoo enclosures into the zoo and then pick from the different animal cards that come out to work out what your zoo's going to focus and specialise in. It's also got a bit of sort of almost educational aspect to it that, you don't need to learn while you play, but at the same time, it does explain a lot about why and how zoos operate and the idea of the conservation that comes from zoos, and that's sort of what you're aiming to balance out, is to both get a commercially viable zoo, but one that is also focused on conservation and such.
So there are 4 games that we recommend from quite light to a little bit heavier, but they're going to be suitable for families of all ages. And Andy, thanks for letting us come down to Games Portal to check out those games.
My pleasure.